Welcome to Section 4.2, Posting from the General Journal to the General Ledger. In this section, we will learn about posting information from the General Journal to the General Ledger. In our General Journal, if you'll recall, we record our transactions in chronological order. However, we cannot tell balance information from our General Journal. Therefore, we must take that information from our journal and place it into the ledger. The ledger is where we record all the balance information for all of the charts of all of the accounts in our chart of accounts. Each individual account will have its own ledger page. So what is posting? Posting is literally defined as transferring information from the journal entry into the ledger. Posting sorts journal entries so that all the debits and credits affecting a single account can be brought together in one place. So in this particular transaction, we see that on August 1st, Kim Park, the owner, invested cash in her business. This will begin the process of accumulating all the information from journal transactions into the ledger for each of these accounts. So all the transactions involving cash will be brought into the cash account in the general ledger. This is posting. So it's a 5-step process. The first thing we would do using this particular transaction is we would write the date. We're going to take the information from the date in the transaction in the general journal and take that and post that to the general ledger page for the cash account first. We always post the debit part of a transaction first. So we would write the date, then we would write the journal page number. We do not need to enter anything into the items section in the general ledger unless there's a specific reason. So we would skip over that column for the time being and place the page number that the transaction comes from in the page it comes from in the general journal into the general ledger. We would refer to page 1 of the general journal as G1. We use this as an audit trail to be able to tell where we can go back to, what page we can go back to in the general ledger if we ever had to make a correction to this particular posting. Then, third, we would write the debit amount. So whatever the debit amount, we would, from the journal, we would post that over into the debit column in the ledger. Then fourth, we would bring that balance over from the debit column to the balance column. And we would begin accumulating the information in the balance column. Now, remember, previously I had said that the balance columns typically you will always see the balance on the normal balance side for that particular account. And then lastly, we would return back to the journal page for that particular transaction and put the put the account number for the account that we posted that journal entry to. In this slide, we're going to learn about posting a debit amount to an account with an already existing debit balance in the balance column in the general ledger. So, just like any other time we're posting, we're going to follow our 5 steps. We're going to start by writing the date. Then we're going to post our general journal page number. This comes from page 1. Then we're going to post the debit part of the transaction. So we're going to take our supplies, and we had purchased $500 worth of supplies. We're going to put that information in the debit column in the general ledger. Then we have to bring that into that $500 transaction over into our balance column so that we can keep our maintain our ongoing balance for our supplies account. So if we look in the debit column of the balance section of the general ledger page for supplies, we see that previously there was $275. Well, now we just purchased $500 more of supplies, and we're posting that information. We post $500 debit, the normal balance for supplies is debit. So if we've got a $500 additional debit, that means we're going to add $275 and $500 together to get the total or the balance of $775 for our supplies account. Then we're going to take our last step and post the account number back to the general journal page. And this tells us that we're done posting the supplies amount, the supplies transaction. In the previous slide, we posted the first half of this transaction. We posted the cash. Now, in this slide, we will post the second half. We will post the information from the credit column of the general journal. So now, again, we're going to Kim Park Capital's account in the general ledger, which is account number 310. We're again going to go through those same 5 steps. We're going to write the date. We're going to write the general journal page number that the transaction comes from. We're going to write the credit amount now. If the cash was debited, well, the capital is credited. So we've got to write that credit entry. So we put that in the credit column of the ledger. And then we're going to bring that balance over. And again, the Kim Park Capital, the normal balance side for Kim Park's Capital is going to be the credit. So we're going to bring that balance over into the credit column. And then lastly, the 5th step would be to post the account number 310 back into the post reference column in the general journal. Now that we've posted, we can see that we're done. How can we tell that we're done? We can tell that we're done because after a transaction has been posted from the general journal to the general ledger, both of the post reference sections in the general journal column will be completed. You'll have the post reference for the cash account 110 and the post reference for the capital account 310. These post references should not be entered until the last step. The reason for that is, again, we want to make sure we've done all of the posting. And if we just filled in those post-reference numbers prior to posting, we wouldn't know where we were in the posting process when we have many, many entries to do in a general journal. In this slide, we are now going to post a debit amount to an account that has a normal balance on the credit side. So what are we doing here in this transaction? Let's look at our journal. In our journal, we see that on August 11th, our company paid cash to pay down its accounts payable. So it's reducing its accounts payable to Supply Depot by $300. Accounts payable has a normal balance of a credit. So if we're posting a debit to that account, we know that we're actually reducing the amount that we owe to Supply Depot. So let's walk through our steps. We're going to write the date first. And then we're going to bring our general journal page number 1 into the post-reference column. Then we're going to write the debit amount. This transaction had a debit of $300. We're putting that in the transactions columns, the T account columns, if you will, to the general ledger. We're posting that debit of $300 into that column. Then we have to bring the balance over we're bringing the balance of $300 over. But if you notice in the balance column, our balance just went down by $300 because the normal balance for the accounts payable account is going to be on the credit side. So if we did a $300 debit to the accounts payable, that would mean that we reduced the amount that we owe by $300. So therefore, the balance in the credit column is going to go down to $300. The last step is going to be, again, to return to the journal and write the account number down. So we're going to post the 210 back in our post-reference column in the general journal. Here we'll see that we've got a completed general journal page. How do I know the page has been completed? Because all of the post-reference numbers are placed in the post-reference column for each of the respective accounts that the transactions have been posted for. So again, we're going to do the post-reference column after each transaction is posted. That's the last step. This is just a continuation of the previous page. And as you see, all the post-references are completed for this page. This concludes Section 4.2, posting from a general journal to the general ledger. Thank you.